Well then, thanks a lot, housekeeper. Make sure you do your job properly.
Suddenly, my eldest son's wife, Alyssa, blurted out to me. A housekeeper? Who are you talking about? I was shocked by the words that came out of her mouth.
No way! It's obviously about you, Dorothy.
She answered as if it were obvious. I never said anything about living together. The reason I thought about rebuilding the house was for my own future life. While looking at the model house photos brought by their construction company, my daughter-in-law and granddaughter frolicked around without any regard for me.
I want my room to be over there. This kitchen is lovely, isn't it?
Both of them were saying whatever they wanted. You know, I'm the one building the house, right? Nobody said anything about living together, did they? I pointed it out to them.
Oh, Dorothy, you'll need some care when you're not as good at moving around, right? That's why I'm saying we should live together before that happens.
I never said I wanted to live together. The last thing I want is to live with these two. I thought, if I'm going to be taken over by people like them, I might as well turn it into a vacant lot. The house is full of memories, but it's too big for me now. Maybe it's a good opportunity. Soon after I started living in the new house, calls from Alyssa kept coming. I thought, they finally seem to have realized. I was determined to ignore her calls, but she was so persistent that I answered the phone. Hello, what's up? My voice was drowned out by the agonized scream let out by Alyssa from the other end of the phone. Ha, in your face, I muttered in my heart. My name is Dorothy and I'm 80 years old. My husband died of cancer 5 years ago. By the time it was discovered, it was already terminal, and all we could do was palliative care to relieve the pain. Still, thanks to the medication, he didn't seem to suffer too much at the end, which might have been for the best. My eldest son, Tony, is our only son. He's 55 years old and nearing mandatory retirement, but he's still on assignment. His wife, Alyssa, and my granddaughter, Katie, who turns 27 this year, are living in a rented house close to ours along with my 2 grandsons, Jason and Nathan. Jason has graduated from university and found a job, and Nathan is also graduating this year. The boys have both moved away from home to support themselves. When the grandchildren were little, the whole family used to move with Tony due to job transfers, but they started living in a rented house near ours when my granddaughter entered high school.
I'm worried about you, Mom, but I can't come back here yet,
he said apologetically. It seemed like he was concerned about me, but in reality I realized that it was because Alyssa refused to move with the transfers. Before my husband died, neither Alyssa nor my granddaughter ever visited him in the hospital. The boys, being loved by my husband, would sometimes stop by after school, but his wife and granddaughter didn't even help with the funeral preparations, only showing up on the day. Since then, they hardly ever come to our house, and when they do, it's usually to ask for money. Katie, being the first grandchild, might have been spoiled too much by us because she has always come asking for things she wants, and that hasn't changed. After graduating from university, Katie didn't like the company she started working for and quit within a year. Since then, she only works part-time when she needs pocket money and spends the rest of her time hanging out.
Hey, Grandma, there's this accessory I want. Can you buy it for me? I want to buy some new clothes, but I don't have any money. Can you help me out?
Even with my careless granddaughter, I can't help but feel weak when she behaves like that. I know it's not good, but I end up giving her money anyway.
Excuse me, Dorothy, could you lend me some money?
I thought, lend you money? You've never paid me back before. Every time Alyssa comes to ask for money, I remember. After my husband passed away, she didn't even visit to see him. But then suddenly she came and blurted out,
We can't pay for Nathan's tuition, and we need help for Jason's school fees too. Think of it as helping your grandchildren. You can do that, right?
If she really needed help because she was out of money, there would be a better way to ask.
Katie quit her job too, and it's tough on the household budget, right? Please.
I paid because I thought I was helping my eldest son's family, but she took advantage of that and started coming to ask for money all the time. Why do you need so much money? Isn't Tony sending you enough for tuition and living expenses? I asked suspiciously.
Dorothy, raising children nowadays costs a lot. And think of it as an investment in the grandchildren. It's a bargain.
My eldest son's wife said, without a care. Thinking she was too reckless with money, I even called my son. You're sending them living expenses and tuition, right? Can you talk to Alyssa about it? When I told him, he said,
I've transferred the living expenses and I've also put the cash I inherited from Dad into the same account, thinking it would cover the children's tuition. So there shouldn't be a shortage. All right, I'll talk to her.
My son promised to speak with her. Things got a bit better immediately after that, but after a while they started saying they were short on money again. Recently, not just my eldest son's wife, but also my granddaughter started coming to ask for money.
Hey, Grandma, I want to go on a trip, but I don't have enough money.
I usually refuse at first since I can't just give money to a child like giving pocket money, but I always end up getting pushed over by her pleading voice. Once I stumbled and fell over a small step in the house. I wasn't injured, but I felt the decline of my physical strength. This house is old too. I need to do something about it. Thinking that, I immediately contacted a construction company to get an estimate. Then I found out that I could build a small care home for about the same amount it would cost to remodel the current large house. I'm sure my eldest son and his wife are thinking about their own old age, and I wanted to spend my time comfortably in a house that's easy to live in. Maybe it's a good idea to rebuild from scratch. The house is filled with memories of family times, but considering my body will get weaker, it seemed better. However, somehow my eldest son's wife and granddaughter found out about the rebuilding, came with housing catalogs and model house photos, and said to me,
Dorothy, if you're going to rebuild anyway, shouldn't it be stylish like this?
As my eldest son's wife said that, my granddaughter also said,
The place we're living in now is old and dirty, so I couldn't invite friends over. This would be wonderful.
They kept talking about how the layout should be, what to do with the rooms, leaving me out of the conversation. Hey, I never said we were going to live together. What are you assuming? Before I could finish, she said,
Oh, Dorothy, you're going to need care eventually, right? That's why we're kindly offering to live with you. You should be grateful.
My eldest son's wife blurted out, I'm rebuilding to make the house more livable for me, not for you. I refused.
What are you talking about? It would be more fun to live together. We wouldn't have to bother with housework.
Even my granddaughter said that. Are you guys trying to push this on me? I questioned them.
Well, you still seem strong, so maybe you can work as a housekeeper? We'll take care of you when you get weaker, so work hard until then, housekeeper.
I was dumbfounded by the words my eldest son's wife spat out.
Well, I'm looking forward to the new house being built.
Saying that, the two of them left. If I have to build a house for such people, I might as well turn it into a vacant lot. The house was filled with memories, but I had already decided in my heart to demolish it for reconstruction. The move to the new house had just finished, and things were finally settling down when my eldest son's wife called me while I was relaxing and drinking coffee by the window. I thought, what now? I wonder what she wants. I thought I was troublesome, but she was so persistent that I reluctantly answered the phone. Hello, what's up? Then she screamed in a pained voice.
Dorothy, where on earth are you right now?
Her voice was so loud, I thought my eardrums would burst. And where do you think? I'm at home, of course. I answered as if it were the most obvious thing.
Home? But which home?
On the other end of the phone, my eldest son's wife sounded like she was about to cry. My new place? Didn't I tell you? I played dumb just to be mean.
The new place? When I went to check on it last time, the house was being demolished, so I thought the construction was finally starting. But when I went there today, it was just a vacant lot, and there was even a for sale sign.
It seemed like my eldest son's wife had finally realized. Oh, that. I turned it into a vacant lot and sold it. It's my land after all, so I'm free to do whatever I want with it, right? I informed her, causing her to be speechless.
Then where's your new home?
She asked in astonishment. I combined the money from the sale of the land with my savings and moved into a care welfare apartment. It's very comfortable. This way I won't have to worry you all about caregiving. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone, isn't it? As I said this, she weakly muttered.
But we were about to move soon, thinking it was time, and we just terminated the lease on our current rental at the end of this month.
I could picture the shock on my eldest son's wife's face. Oh, that's too bad. But it's none of my concern anymore, right? You should find your own place to live. With that, I hung up the phone. I thought I heard my eldest son's wife start to say something on the other end, but I couldn't hear it anymore. In fact, I had already informed my eldest son that I was moving here. He had also agreed to it. I called my eldest son. Tony, Alyssa called me. When should we have that talk? My son suggested a family discussion, including me. As for me, I was concerned about the other grandchildren, not just my eldest son's wife and granddaughter. So I thought this was a good opportunity to settle things.
They can still live in the rental until the end of the month. So can you come over here next Sunday? I'll be there too.
So it was decided that I would have a discussion with my eldest son's family. On Sunday, I went to my eldest son's family's rental home. He had arrived earlier and was waiting for me. The other grandchildren were also gathered.
Grandma, you're moving? I really liked your place.
My grandson Jason said, looking nostalgic.
What? What happened to that house? Was it demolished?
Another grandson, Nathan, was also surprised. Well, I'm getting on in years. Living alone is hard, and I don't want to be a burden to everyone, I said, laughing.
Grandma, that's awful. Mom and I were thinking of living with you.
My granddaughter said sulkily, to which I replied, What are you talking about? You were just planning to use me as a substitute housekeeper. My eldest son's wife shouted,
That's obviously a joke. We're family, aren't we?
By the way, you two.
The eldest son questioned his wife and daughter.
It seems you've been begging Mom for money, but I've been providing for living expenses, and even the savings inherited from Dad should be with you, right? What happened to that money?
The two remained silent, unable to respond.
Can't say anything, huh? Well, that figures. I already know everything.
Saying this, he pulled out several documents and photos from an envelope he had brought and laid them on the table.
I thought something was off and had it investigated. What is all this supposed to mean?
The wife and granddaughter of the eldest son looked pale and were trembling. Tony, being suspicious of the two's extravagant spending after hearing from me, had apparently secretly commissioned a private investigator. The items laid out on the table were the investigation report and evidence photos. In them, the eldest son's wife was captured dressed flamboyantly, popping champagne bottles with a young man, along with a list of shopping details from brand stores.
It's not what it looks like. This is...
The eldest son's wife began to make an excuse.
What's different? Spending at nightclubs and shopping sprees on branded goods. How could you spend so much?
As he barely contained his anger, he turned to his daughter and said,
And Katie, I'm so disappointed. You're the mistress of a married man? And now it seems you're even being sued for damages. You haven't worked properly since graduating from college. What on earth are you doing?
He scolded her, thrusting a photo of her walking arm in arm with a middle-aged man in front of her. Katie, no wonder you've been dressing flashily lately. I was shocked to hear about my granddaughter's scandal for the first time. It must be unbearable for a father to know such things about his daughter.
So what? I get money without working, and I get to buy clothes too. What's wrong with that?
Nevertheless, my granddaughter defiantly shot back. Hearing this, the eldest son exploded.
If that's how you're gonna be, then you need to take responsibility yourself. Don't leech off your father or your grandma. You're an adult now.
But I can't pay for the damages. Help me. Dad, Grandma.
The granddaughter cried out in tears. Though it was pitiful to see her like this, sympathy was the last thing needed. She had intended to exploit me together with her mother. The eldest son spoke up.
Enough already, Alyssa. We're getting a divorce. The kids are grown up, and even Nathan will soon graduate. I'll take care of what's left.
The atmosphere was tense.
The division of assets will cancel out the money you've misused. You'll have to manage the rest on your own.
With that, Alyssa dropped the bombshell.
What about all those years you left me alone? I was the one who stayed behind and raised the kids while you were away.
The eldest son's wife retorted.
I do feel sorry about that, but using that as an excuse to misuse living expenses and exploit Mom to make your own life easier? That's wrong.
He was right.
Besides, you were the one who didn't want to follow my transfers. I felt sorry for the kids having to change schools every time. That's why I trusted you and left it in your hands.
The eldest son bit his lip in frustration.
What about a place to live? Our lease here is ending soon. The real estate agent said they can't extend it because they already have other plans.
The eldest son's wife spoke in a pitiful voice.
You'll have to figure that out yourself. You're not a child.
The eldest son coldly dismissed his wife.
I know this isn't the best time to say this, but...
Jason chimed in.
I'm thinking of getting married. Sorry, but I won't be living with Mom. I'd be in trouble if she asked for money, and I can't afford it either.
Jason also spoke coldly. That makes sense. I can't imagine that the young couple has much leeway in their married life.
Jason, are you going to abandon your mother?
The eldest son's wife was frantic.
It's not about abandoning you or not. It's about not relying on you. A parent who spends recklessly, even my partner wouldn't like that.
Jason stated this firmly. Then Nathan added,
I have 1 more year of university, but I'm already living on my own, and it won't change even after I get a job. So if Dad is paying for tuition, that's fine by me.
He spoke indifferently, but maybe that's just how boys are.
If Dad and Mom get divorced and my brothers go their separate ways, what about me? What should I do?
The granddaughter pleaded with a pained expression. Hearing this, the eldest son said,
Katie, enough is enough. Stop hanging on to others and get a job. And take responsibility for your own actions. That's what being an adult is about.
No, I don't want to work now. I want to live easily and have fun.
It seems that living with the eldest son's wife, the granddaughter has been completely influenced and developed a habit of wastefulness and playfulness. Thinking about how much I loved her makes me sad. The eldest son said,
Mom, I should have been there for you. I'm sorry.
He apologized to me. It's not really his fault. Choosing to live in a care welfare apartment was my decision. Don't worry about it. I didn't want to burden you, my eldest, or anyone else, I said, comforting my son.
Well, we're going to go now.
The boys left. The eldest son said,
Is there anything else to say? We have to vacate this rental house, right?
He spoke to the remaining eldest son's wife and granddaughter.
Think it over. Don't abandon me.
That's right, Dad. Aren't we family? The two clung to the eldest son together.
You two have lived together until now, so just keep living together. If you both work, you should manage the living expenses, right? I can't deal with it anymore. Mom, you can go home.
Prompted by my son, I decided to return to my apartment. It seemed that the eldest son continued to discuss with the two, but I don't know much about what happened after that. In the end, there was no chance for the eldest couple to reconcile. The eldest son is nearing mandatory retirement, so he has requested to be placed in a department without transfers next fiscal year and is planning to come back to the local area. He said he was tired of the life of constant transfers, but perhaps he also feels responsible for having scattered his family. Jason brought his fiancée to meet me. She was fair-skinned and quite cute. Always stay close to each other, I said while giving a wedding gift. I heard that Nathan is also working hard on job hunting. The former eldest son's wife rented a cheap apartment and is living with her daughter, Katie. They are struggling with debts as she can't stop visiting nightclubs. Despite the financial trouble from damages claimed by the mistress's wife, the granddaughter's flashy lifestyle hasn't changed, and it seems quite difficult. I still feel a bit of a desire to help because she was my first grandchild, but I am now living my remaining years in a care welfare apartment. I no longer have that much leeway. The apartment I moved into was newly built and popular, filling up quickly. I'm glad I decided to move in early. Now my joy is drinking coffee and chatting with other residents in the shared space.